What's going on, everybody? It's your man Cleveland Terry. This is the second time I'm recording this video, but that is okay because that is what I do for you guys. I want to make sure that I get the right information to you guys at all times. We're going to skip all the BS right now because I need to get back to doing this, and it is now 12 o'clock and I spent 45 minutes recording a crap ass video with no sound. Anyway, we're going to do a comparison video of the Rane Performer versus the Rev-7. Now, I know a lot of people are asking because they're sitting there going, I don't know which one to buy. Should I buy the Performer? Should I buy the Rev-7? And some people are like, is the Rev-7 even worth it? Because it's a couple of years old now, and the Rane Performer should be kind of mopping it up. Well, I'm going to tell you this. I learned a lot of stuff when I recorded this video, and I'm learning even more the second time around. Break this down into 10 sections. The 10 sections are going to be, we're going to review the back panel, the front panel, the mic section, the layout, the jogs specifically, the faders, the sound coming out of both of them, the effects, the pads, the size and the weight, and the stems. So let's start off this time with the size and the weight. Before we begin, I just want to say one thing. These are both fantastic controllers. Fantastic. You'd be happy with either one of them, regardless if you like 4-channel, if you like 2-channel. They're both fantastic controllers. But there is a difference in methodology in the build of the Rane Performer versus the Rev-7. The Rev-7 was created for those turntable DJs that have an S11 and a PLX or some Cross 12s, but they want to take something out to do smaller events. So they're going to take the Rev. It is a battle style controller. It is really for the turntablists. They have the turntablists in mind. That's why we have battle style pitch faders as opposed to the regular style on the Performer. Does that change anything? No, it's just a difference of opinion. Some people like 4-channel, some people like 2-channel. So we're just going to go through all of these things. I'm going to try to keep it as unbiased as possible and just tell you what the facts are and what I've experienced on both of them since I have been using both of them. First things first, let's bring out the handy dandy. This sits a little bit about 14 and maybe a little less than a quarter. On this one, we have a little under 15, but with the lip, we're talking about 15 and a quarter. So a full inch longer, or deeper, I should say. And on the width, we have 31 inches, followed by 28 3/4. The height difference is, it is roughly 1 3/4 inches higher than the Rev-7. Now, here's the thing. There is some good and some bad to this. When I did pick up the Rev to put it on here for the comparison, and I'm still surprised that I actually got all of this to fit on one table. But when I did pull the Rev up, I realized how much lighter 4 pounds is. And it's noticeable. 28-pound Rane is a heavy board. Not the heaviest board, but it's a heavy board. And this was considered heavy for the longest time. Now we have a new king. Now the height is a thing that some people are gonna love, some people aren't. I'm gonna say this. I do prefer a lower board, but I see the benefit in the feet on the Rane Performer. For instance, you can run cables underneath. You can keep your thing clean. And I am running my XLR, my USB, and my microphone plug, and they all fit underneath the Rane Performer. That's how high this thing comes off the ground. If we're looking at it just from a size and weight, I got to give it to the Rev. The Rev's just a smaller, better form factor as far as taking it out, throwing it in pretty much any case you have. You don't have to worry about it with the Rane. You're gonna have to buy a very specific case. You're gonna have to get a larger case, and it is weighty. I'm using both of them, and I plan to continue to use both of them. This guy's gonna go into my furniture because my furniture is just easier. It's on wheels. I only have to lift it up one time, put it up, easy. This one's gonna go into my glide bag. That way I can take this out for the gigs where I don't need to bring a full setup. Maybe I just need to DJ at a bar, so I'm bringing in these. So I do prefer the size of this for quick movements, and I prefer the size of this for like bigger events where I don't have to move it around. It's borderline installation type. If you're coming from turntables in a mixer or you're coming from the NS7, this is gonna feel like a T7. You're gonna run around with this all day long and be like, this is the lightest thing ever. Yeah, it is what it is, depending on what you like. So I'm gonna give both of them 2 points. By the way, let me talk about my point system here. I have 3 points total for every category. 3 points means the best, 2 is it's exactly how it should be and I wouldn't expect anything less, and then 1 is needs work. They're as small and as light as they can be considering you got the moving platters and the size with the 4-channel versus the 2-channel. It is what it is. If you look at the Flex 10 over there, which I do have sitting right there, it's close to this size. It is. Now the back panel, pretty similar for both. You got your XLRs, RCA outputs, RCA inputs, your microphones. There's a combo on both, 1 and 2 on the microphones on the Rane Performer. On the Rev-7, there is a combo and a 1/4 inch. Now, I am a fan of having 2 combo jacks on the panel. There's a couple of things that make the Rev a little more difficult to give higher points, and that is the little thing called the attenuator. Now, I understand why the attenuator is on there, and it makes perfect sense. If you're dealing with low gain devices, microphones, instruments, or whatever, when you plug them in, you can actually run a higher gain directly from the input that doesn't affect the gain on your microphone volume. So if you're dealing with low stuff, you're gonna get more power out of this. You don't have that on the Rane, so you are limited in what it is. But in all honesty, from a mobile DJ perspective, I don't find really a use for the attenuator on the Rev-7. So I don't really think it's a perk, even though it's good to have, and I understand why, but I don't think it's a perk. Also on the back panel, there is a stereo/mono switch. It's a hard switch. You can just click it off, now you're running mono. You have to do that in the software, and I believe it's just through the Serato software to run it mono on there. I prefer the hardware switches. I think, you know, it could be a mind thing, but I think it sounds better when you're using hardware switches over software. That's the same thing I feel with like when they have software EQs versus hardware EQs. It just sounds better. Even the split Q, it sounds better in my mind when it's a hardware switch. Subjective. I completely understand. Oh, the biggest issue with the back panel on the Rev, proprietary power cord. IEC on the Rane Performer, and to me, right there alone, takes the cake. If I leave my proprietary cable at home, I can't use this. I can't go to a Best Buy or a Guitar Center real quick and buy the power cord for this. I gotta order one. I gotta get it off Amazon, whatnot. On this one, I can use any IEC plug I have, whether it be from Best Buy, whether it be, you know, the computer at the building I'm at. Let me get your computer, let me plug it in, and it will work. So for that one, this one's getting 3 points, and this one is getting 2 points. Let's talk about the front panel. Front panel, very similar, although the way they do it is a little different. On the front panel on the Rane, you do have your secondary mic on the face. You have your first mic right on the deck, and I do like having the mic on the deck versus on the front because I don't love to be able to be fidgeting. And the same thing applies for the headphone knobs that are also on the Rane 4 as opposed to the headphone knob and the mix being up here on the Rev-7. I prefer having it visible and accessible right here so I can use it. I don't want to look for things. And there's something strange, it's just a methodology, the way Rane does it versus the way Pioneer does it. I feel like their knobs are backwards. If you look at the front panel of the Rane, you have your microphone on, then you have your level, then you have your high, and then your low. That's weird to me. I think it should be mic on, level, then your low, and then your high. The same thing with the headphone jack. You have your mix first, followed by your level. I always get confused and hit the wrong level for that. But on the Rev, you got your level first, followed by the mix. And I'm a big fan of that. I also like the fader style because it allows me to get granular with the sound that's coming into my ears. I do love that over just turning it on and it's just, you know, on. And now I really have to affect the mix levels on the front panel. It does have on the Rane a split Q, a dedicated split Q. There is no dedicated split Q on the Rev. but it is in the software. In the metal panel, we have our fader curves and our crossfader curves. And on the Rev-7, there are switches. You can switch it to reverse, so you can do your hamster style, whatever you want on the crossfader and on the up faders. You can do your switches left and right on your channels, but there's no way to reverse the up and down faders without going into your settings. They both have tension knobs and they both have the crossfader curve. I'm gonna give this a wash. I'm gonna say they're both 2s. Now, as for the mic, this is where it gets a little more complicated because as I was doing my testing, there are some things that I found. Now, first off, we all know that the Rane microphone had some issues with the Rane 4. Some people experienced it, some people didn't. I experienced it, so I was a little more weary when the Rane Performer came out. Then I found out that there was no problem, so that made me very, very happy. You do have on here your deck, you have your top microphone, your 2-band EQ, and then your mic effects. Then you have it on your front. On here, they're all on the front, so you have to fidget and kind of find out where it is. Now, there is a difference though. 2, 2, 2. Check, 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 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 1. You can fit, there's your check, 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 check. And then you have your echo. Echo. 2, 2, 2. Now, the difference is you don't have an echo on the front panel. You can switch it on, you get your low and your high, but you do not have your echo. It does not exist. It's only on the mic here. On the Rev, you have both microphones right up top here, and you can adjust the volume. You got your low and your high, and then you have your echo. You have echo on both mics, mic 1 and 2. You only have it on one here. There's also a thing with the echo, which I just found out. Didn't expect it, but I just found this out. All right, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. We're gonna put the echo on. Check, 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 check. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Now, here's the difference. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. And we're gonna do the same thing. And I'm gonna show you the difference. We're at 150 here. We're gonna change the range to 50 on this one also. Here we go. Check, 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 check. Now here's the difference. Check, 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 check. I'm gonna speed it up. Check, 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 check. You notice the difference? The difference is this echo does not talk to the echo on the beat analysis. So even though it's set to 150 on here, it will not change with the speeds. It will change with the speeds on the Rev-7, and I think that's a really, really cool feature. In all honesty, that's probably one of the best. I didn't even know it did that until I tested it just now. I'm gonna give the microphone to Rev a little higher just because I've used the Rev. It's been consistent for me the whole time, even with the attenuator. If you dial it in right, it is good. And the effects and the fact that they all talk to one another, I gotta give it to the Rev. So I'm gonna give the Rev 3 and I'm gonna give the Rane 2. Next is layout. Obviously, we're dealing with a 4-channel controller versus the 2-channel controller, so we have to understand that there is a little bit of a difference. But having said that, there's a lot to be said about the way that the Performer and the way Rane does their layouts versus the way Pioneer does. And I have a Flex 10 sitting right there, so I can kind of attest to Flex 10, kind of the same layout exactly. I know we're dealing with the battle style mixture here, but the way Pioneer does their layouts is cleaner, okay? In my opinion. You might differ, but it is cleaner in my book. Everything they use is just easier to kind of handle. As I said it before, you know, these knobs, you know, knowing that they're completely closed versus these, which they're just easier to see. Maybe it's the metal pot, the aluminum pot versus the dark one. I don't know, but it is easier to see. The layout, for me, the battle style layout with the mixer that looks like a dedicated mixer right in the middle is always going to trump having the cue points on the side. Can I make it happen? Of course, but this is always going to be better. And the reason why it's better is for one reason for me. You guys remember in the review for the Performer when I was showing you the stem split and I was re-queuing up the song. But I had my hand on the jog, and then I would use this to hit this. So I'd have to hit this and then travel all the way over here to get my fader to close and then open again, then back again, then back again. On the Rev, my hand can be on the jog, but look, the button's right here. It's just easier to get to. So I'm always going to prefer this over that. There's a lot of little things that just make life a little easier. Like for instance, like I said before, I love the silent cue here in the sensor, but I would love it more if there was a dedicated sensor here. There is a dedicated sensor here. The silent cue is right here for both sides. Everything is kind of here. The key is out of the way. I'm not going to just randomly accidentally hit the key, which I did on this guy because the keys are right here. But there are some benefits. The beat jump being right here, dedicated buttons with the ability to switch the beat parameters right here. You cannot do that on this board. Yeah, you can try to MIDI map a beat jump, but now you're losing something. Here's the thing. You know, Serato has always had this built in where you can double your loop roll with the beat jumps. And that's kind of how I have it. So I got my beat jump right here. But that's an extra step. If I'm in my cues and I'm hitting the things and I want to do an instant double and then automatically go to a beat jump, I got to go to the roll. I got to make sure that this is where it is because sometimes they change. And then I got to activate it. On this one, I just got to hit the button. Also, we have all of our stem stuff all broken out, which is fantastic on here. But the one thing that it doesn't have, and that is the ability to have them right in front of your face. Yes, you have the acapella and you have the instrumental and you got the stem and you got the stem effects, etc. But just being able to mix a track and then, I don't know, you just want to remove the bass line during your transition. I can just hit that button right here. One button. If I want to do that here, if I want to remove the bass line, I got to go to stems and now I got to hit the button. That's 2 clicks as opposed to 1 click. Yes, you do have the instance here and that's great. For a quick button, I love that. But I do prefer to have the stems all kind of active because these are the things that we're using all the time. I'm not necessarily going to acapella all the time or going to instrumental all the time, although I do love it. So I can, you know, clear out a word or a bad word or something. I can just get rid of it real quick. Like that's a great, great feature. This is the tough one because I do love the layout. I love everything that they got set up here. I love the stem layout and all the stem split stuff. It makes it really easy to get to. But, you know, that is a little bit of an issue. The pitch faders being off to the side versus battle style, that is completely subjective. I do prefer them up here. I think it allows it to be a little smaller. It's not as bad on this one. On the Rane one, I thought the pitch faders were in a horrible position because it was already so cramped. This one is as big as it is. I don't have a problem with it. Because they both have good points and bad points, I'm going to say this is even. And the funny thing about it is, I'm going to give them both 3 points. But the funny thing about it is, the Rev came out before stems. So a lot of the things that we're talking about here that we've made work is just having the forethought to put the cues right up here. Because again, battle style controller, meaning I want my hot cues here. Maybe I want to keep my rolls active here or my sampler here, and then I can still go to my hot cues all over here because it's battle style. They want you to be doing a whole bunch of stuff. It's still the same here. You're still doing a whole bunch of stuff, but it's just what they want you to focus on is different than what the Rev does. So they're both even in my book. They're just a little different both ways. Next, jogs. There are a lot of similarities to it. As a matter of fact, they're pretty much the same as far as their movements, as far as everything they do. I will say this, it feels like the torque on the Rane is a little bit stronger than on the Rev. And that could be just the difference between having a newer jog and an older jog. 2 years versus, you know, brand new. It's a little bigger also too. We're talking millimeters, but it is a little bigger. So you get a little more surface area to it. Now, the one thing I have noticed comparing both of them now is that the screen color is more vibrant on the Rev. And also, you know that we can change the layout. So we have this one for this. We have this one, which definitely looks better than this guy. And then let's move to the next one. This is your album art. And same thing, although they have the wave file on theirs. There's no wave file on this one. But the biggest thing, in my opinion, logo. No logo. I think that was a misstep on Rane's part. They really need to figure out how to do a firmware update and put that logo in, because there's a lot of people like me that love the logo in there. But you do have navigation on the jog, which is something you can't do on the Rev. And because of that, it's a wash. They both get 3 points. Faders. You guys know I'm a fan of the Rev crossfader. I think the Magville Fader Pro is a very, very good fader, especially right out of the box. You don't even have to go aftermarket. It's just a good fader. The up faders are fine. I don't believe that they're Magville, but they still feel really, really good. The Mag 4. I've never liked the Mag 4. In all honesty, it's always just been okay to me. But this one feels better. They've made some tweaks, some quirks, some reinforcements, and the faders are really, really good. I would say, I don't think they're better, but I think they're right on par. And I think they're both really good faders now. So I'm gonna give both of these a 3 on the faders. I think they're both very, very good. Sound. Now, this is a point of contention for a lot of you Rane loyalists that always tell me that the Rane sound is amazing. It's just better than everything out in there in the world. And the Rev is, yeah, it's just mediocre. And I've always said the same thing. It's not that the Rane sound is so much better or the Rev is so poor. It's that the Rane has more color to it and the Rev is more transparent. Okay, we're on the Rev right now. Rane. Rev. Rane. Now, again, like I said, difference in color. Sound, output, volume, fullness, all sound the same. They both sound great. I'm giving them both a 3. The effects. This is where it differentiates a little bit. I'm not going to go through all the effects because I can throw, 20, 30 effects on here, but I care about the ones, the bread and butter ones, the ones that everybody uses all the time, because I can go through here and find effects that are only on here or find effects that are only on there. And we'd have this whole big argument. But the facts are, let's test the ones that we use: the echo, the reverb, and the high pass filter. First things first, high pass filter. Rane. Echo now. And by the way, what I've done here is I've tried to adjust the frequency response so that the Rane matches the Rev, because I think that's kind of the standard. So I wanted them to sound very, very similar. So I adjusted that down to like 40 Hertz for the Rane. It defaults at like 120, which is actually really, really high in my opinion. Echo, Rev. Okay. Rane. $1.5. All right, let's go to reverb. The effects coming out of the Rane are considerably better than they have been in the past. I think they put a concerted effort to make their stuff sound good. I think the Echo is good. It's good enough. It sounds quality. I wouldn't have a problem playing that. The reverb needs a little bit of work, in all honesty, because in order to get that same tail, I had to maximize this thing to 10, and I should not have to do that. I think the reverb and the Echo definitely sound better on Pioneer, but Pioneer is kind of the standard for effects. So I'm going to give Pioneer a 3, Rane a 2. Last but not least, stems. Now this is completely subjective, as they all have been, but this one in particular, because obviously we're both using the same stems. They're all coming from Serato, they're coming from Virtual DJ or whatnot. So the sound is not the issue. It's just the implementation of the stems that I want to talk about. Now, they both have the ability to hit the button and then go to your stems. Now, here's the thing. There are no stems on the Rev because it didn't start out as a stem controller, but because it does have these top ones, this doubles as this pad right here. So it's easy to get to on here. I can still do the same thing that I'm doing here, but I don't have to go to the stems pads. Now, of course, you can MIDI map things, or if you're using the Serato option where you replace one of your pads here, yes, you can do the same thing, but a dedicated stem button is always going to be better than replacing like your loop roll or your sampler, because people use all of it. Obviously, you have that action here. It's a brand new board. Makes perfect sense. Here is where they differ, obviously. Stem splits. Now, there is no stem splits on here. I know for a moment they were discussing doing a deck move like they have on the S11 and they have on the Rev-5 and just moving things over. And maybe at some point that'll happen in some firmware update. That'd be really cool. But right now, there is no stem split on this board. Stem split implementation on here is very, very good. I can't fault it at all. It's great. Even the ability to get to your stem levels is a little cleaner on here versus trying to go through, you know, your effects and do all that stuff. So it's a little cleaner. I prefer the stem implementation on here, even though I still love the fact that all of my pads are right up here and accessible right off the top. So if this is a hard one, but I'm going to give Rev a 2. I'm going to give Rane a 3. You're going to do just fine with either one of them. And if you have a Rane and you're not looking for those 4 channels or stem splits not your thing, you're going to be very, very happy with the Rev. It's more impressive to me that the Rev is still as strong as it is a couple of years later with a brand new board, and this is still holding its own. That's more impressive than how great the Rane Performer is. But this is more for people that are like, you know, you get this itch to buy something, you see new gear, you're just like, oh, should I buy it? Should I not? Whatever. You know, if you got a Rev-7, I think you're fine. I think you're going to still be happy and you don't have to go out and spend all of your money. But if you have anything besides that, if you have a Rane 1 and you're looking to move up to something a little more extravagant, then this is a no-brainer. If you have a Rane 4, but you always wanted moving platters, it's a no-brainer. But if you have a Rev-7, you know, this guy's been good. I'm a big fan of both. I will be using both of them. So if you're going to ask me which one should I buy, whichever one you like the most. But in my opinion, they're both fantastic devices and you're going to be happy with either one. All right, guys, if you found this video useful, hit that like button. If you found this video really useful, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow me on the Instagrams and the Twitters. Get on Threads, Instagram or Threads, not Twitter. We don't do Twitter anymore. Get on my Discord. That's where we're talking about all things Cleveland Terry. And by the way, I got a little hate for wearing the Technique shirt when I was doing the Rane Performer review. I didn't even think about it. I just put a black shirt on and it was clean. That's all. That's what I was thinking. Clean shirt that looked like it was ironed. Really. But I think that's fair. You know, it's a evolution. You went from Techniques, now you're moving over to digital, and now you got the controller. Like, that makes sense. Hopefully Backstreet works for everybody and I don't get too much hate. All right, guys. Always a pleasure. If I don't talk to you later, we'll talk soon. Peace.